Hello there. Welcome to this episode of Just the Discs. Today we are talking about several Kino releases. These are coming, I think, in the month of September, all of them. But I just got a hold of them, and so I just wanted to run through them and kind of make you guys aware that these are coming out if you weren't. I will start with the 4K release, and that is In Bruges, which is a wonderful film, a very dark comedy, I guess, but it's got a lot of pathos to it, a lot of emotion, and it stars Brendan Gleeson and Colin Farrell. It is directed by Martin McDonagh, and it is about a couple hitmen who are sent to Bruges, Belgium, to chill out for a little while they await instructions from their boss, played by a very profane and a very grumpy yet funny Ray Fiennes. You can see him on the cover here. So this is the slipcase, and I have flipped the artwork, which is the traditional artwork on the inside. This is a brand new 4K HDR Dolby Vision Master, and it looks great. The movie just looks lovely. The nice color and detail. It's not a bright color kind of movie, but part of the impetus for the film, part of the fun of the film, is that it is set in Bruges, Belgium, and it is a beautiful city with all kinds of older architecture, and there's a great sort of story by Martin McDonagh in the When in Bruges featurette, which is part of this disc. This is an old featurette. I think it was on one of the other early releases of the Blu-ray. He talks about going to Bruges and being both wowed by the architecture and everything about it, and at the same time still very bored, and sort of fighting boredom after about 3 hours of it. And so that sort of dichotomy between one side of his personality about it and the other became these two hitmen, the Brendan Gleeson and the Colin Farrell character in the movie. And so it's just this very interesting story about these two hitmen. And it's really neat because they're like an old married couple. They're fighting all the time. And they are upset about having to stay there for 2 weeks, which is what they've been asked to do. And we come to find out why they've been sent there. It has to do with something that the Colin Farrell character did. And, it's actually kind of dark in that way. The whole movie has got a really dark edge to it. But it's also incredibly funny and a lot of swearing in it. In fact, there's a whole featurette on here where they do a supercut of all the swearing. It's about 1 minute and 40 seconds, and it's literally every swear word in the film, and it's pretty funny to watch. But anyway, I like this film a lot. These two hitmen are just really neat to see them play off each other, and the featurette, When in Bruges, is about 14 and a half minutes, and it's Martin McDonagh and the cast talking about the film, talking about the origins of it, talking about the characters and their ideas about the story and characters. There's something called Strange Bruges, which is Martin McDonagh and the cast talking about Bruges, Belgium as a location. Boat trip around Bruges, which is about 6 minutes, and literally it's just the front of a boat, a camera, cruising around this canal in Bruges. And you get this tour, and there's little facts at the top and bottom about it. And yeah, it's a really great movie. Just one of the great, it's really become a cult item at this point. And I really love it, and I love how great this 4K looks, and high recommend for me. Actually, one of my favorites of the month from Kino. Next up, we have, this is a reissue, Outer Limits Season 1, and it is, I think the difference is, it's different packaging. The original packaging they did was like a fold-out where you had about, I forget how many discs are in this set. I want to say, so you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 discs, I think. And so now they're just in, different spindles in these sets, in these cases. But there was a nice booklet that came with the previous set, which is now out of print, which you don't get in this version of it. But as far as I know, it's the same set as it was, but it's still a pretty epic set. That said, it is loaded with the first season, which has a cast of so many great actors, including Martin Landau, Leonard Nimoy, Robert Duvall, Robert Culp, Warren Oates, Bruce Dern, Gloria Graham, Ralph Meeker, Vera Miles, Carol O'Connor, Donald Pleasance, Cliff Robertson. I mean, this is just one of those casts that Henry Silva, the late Henry Silva, Martin Sheen. It's just incredible, all these episodes, and there's so many great ones in here. There is tons of extras on this set, 23 audio commentaries in total by David J. Scow, author of The Outer Limits Companion, novelist and critic Tim Lucas, always love his stuff, television music historian Dr. Reba Wisner, film historian Craig Beam, screenwriter historian Gary Girani, and film historian Michael Hyatt, and filmmaker historian Steve Mitchell, among those that make commentaries on this set. But it is just as epic as it ever was, just as groundbreaking as it ever was as a television show. And I don't know if I prefer it to Twilight Zone, but boy, there's a lot of great stuff in here. And there's a lot of episodes that sometimes I remembered as Twilight Zone episodes. I don't know if I mentioned Ed Asner, McDonald Carey, Dabney Coleman. There's so many people that you know in this cast. And it's so classic in its stories, you know. I mean, it's just incredible stuff. So yeah, this is the season 1 set. If you missed it, if it went out of print on you and you didn't get it, I do recommend picking it up, just as I recommend picking up season 2 of The Outer Limits, which is equally cool in a lot of ways. Has a lot less episodes. Let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4 discs, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes. 17 episodes and bonus features. And there's a whole lot of bonus features on this one as well. It includes a whole bunch of interviews. You have 17 audio commentaries. Let me go through the cast of this one. William Shatner, Adam West, Robert Duvall, Leonard Nimoy, Robert Culp, Eddie Albert, Patrick O'Neill, Dabney Coleman, again, Robert Webber, Lloyd Nolan, James B. Sicking, Ted Knight, Skip Holmeyer, Jimmy Doohan, a lot of Star Trek folks here. Anyway, a lot of classic episodes in the second season as well. This one has 17 audio commentaries, so all episodes have audio commentary tracks. David J. Scow again, Tim Lucas again, Dr. Reba Wisner, film historian Craig Beam, screenwriter historian Gary Girani again, film historian Michael Hyatt, filmmaker historian Steve Mitchell, and film historian Eric Grayson contribute commentary tracks. Alternate cuts of The Unknown. The Unknown is the alternate cut of The Form of Things Unknown. Please Stand By, which is an alternate cut of The Galaxy Being. TV spots, New Year's promos, TNT promos, David J. Scow Showtime interview, Penn and Teller TNT host segments, Cliff Robertson full TNT interview, Joseph Stefano full TNT interview. I mean, these guys, writer obviously. Joanna Frank full TNT interview with Meryl O'Loughlin, Museum of Television and Radio's William S. Paley Television Festival, I guess that's like a panel. Project Unlimited with David J. Scow, What's New on ABC, 1963 promo with Edie Adams, and The Outer Limits Phenomenon. So really nice couple sets. Again, these were available previously, but I think both sets had gone out of print. I know the first season definitely had. I believe this one had too. So you can pick these up now from Kino if you've missed out. Again, well worth getting for your sci-fi collection. Then we have Hudson Hawk. Change of gears here, folks. And yes, I am a big fan of this movie. It's become a cult item, directed by Michael Lehman, who did Heathers, and who is a cult director in his own right. This film became a colossal bomb of its time in the 1990s, early 90s, and has since really developed an affectionate following. And it's about a criminal who pulls off heists, played by Bruce Willis. He is the Hudson Hawk, It is a ridiculous movie. It gets to crazy places with Sandra Bernhard, and it's just such an unique film. I really think there's not anything really like it. Basically, the Bruce Willis character has been released from prison and is planning to spend the rest of his life going straight. But this crazy couple, played by Richard E. Grant and Sandra Bernhard, blackmail him into stealing one of Leonardo da Vinci's works. And if he refuses to do it, they threaten to kill his friend Tommy, who's played by Danny Aiello, and they are great together. They actually have a great little heist scene where they sing Swinging on a Star because they need a certain amount of time, and they measure their heists by time. Just a great bit. Frank Stallone is also in this, David Caruso, James Coburn, Andy McDowell. It is really a unique and crazy film where it goes. I'm a big fan of it. But so this particular Blu-ray, as far as I know, is the first one to restore the features that came as part of the Hudson Hawk Special Edition DVD. I don't think it offers any new features, but as far as I know, the stateside releases of this film have not had these features. There's a Signal One Entertainment Blu-ray that had them, but the others have not. You have an audio commentary with director Michael Lehman. You have the Story of Hudson Hawk featurette, and that is with Mr. Bruce Willis himself and executive producer and good friend of his, Robert Kraft, talking about the origins of the movie for about half an hour, which is fascinating because they're old friends back from 1979. We talk about how it originated as a song and it developed over obviously a long time, and how they ended up filming it. And it's a great interview. The two of them are obviously old buddies, and that's pretty neat to watch. There's also a featurette with the great Sandra Bernhard, My Journey to Minerva featurette, about 11 minutes, and how she created that character. The Hudson Hawk music video with Dr. John. You hear that song over the menu, which is delightful. And so you got deleted scenes as well and a trailer. It's not, I can't tell if the transfers, I don't think it's new. It's all region, but I don't think it's new from the previous issues of this from Mill Creek, but you do get the special features. So this is the one you're going to want to get if you're a Hudson Hawk fan like myself. Next up, we have a couple from Vincent Price. These are also reissues. Twice Told Tales, which is a trio of horror stories based on the writings of Nathaniel Hawthorne. And this stars Vincent Price, Sebastian Cabot, Brett Halsey, Beverly Garland, Richard Denning. And I remember digging this one for sure on its previous issue. The first story is Dr. Heidegger's experiment. Heidegger attempts to restore the youth of three elderly friends. And then there's Rappaccini's daughter, a demented father, and is inoculating his daughter with poison so she may never leave her garden of poisonous plants. The final story is The House of Seven Gables. The Pyncheon family suffers from a 100-year-old curse, and while in the midst of arguing over inheritance, a stranger arrives. But I do remember digging this one for sure. And this now has a slipcase, and the artwork is the same underneath the slipcase. It is non-reversible, but this ports over, of course, since it's a reissue. You get your audio commentary from film historians Richard Harlan Smith and Perry Martin. I'm a huge Richard Harlan Smith fan. I remember enjoying this track on the previous issue of this release. So if you're a Vincent Price fan, and again, I think this one went out of print. So if you missed it, highly recommended, and definitely love that commentary. And secondly, we have The Oblong Box, also a reissue, also with Vincent Price, and a movie that is about an aristocrat played by Vincent Price, who keeps his disfigured brother, Sir Edward, locked in a tower of his house, and occasionally Sir Edward escapes and causes havoc around the town. This has Christopher Lee, Rupert Davies, and others. This one I don't remember as well, but I love the premise. And again, we have audio commentary here from film historian Steve Haberman, and we have Edgar Allan Poe's Annabelle Lee narrated by Vincent Price, which is lovely. Again, a slipcase and same artwork, non-reversible on the inside. Again, a pair of Vincent Price films that I do recommend grabbing if you're a fan and if you missed them on their previous issues. And lastly, I've got a DVD here. This is really a cool little movie, a documentary called The Automat. And this is directed by Lisa Hurwitz. It is from, I guess, last year. And it is the 100-year story of the iconic restaurant chain Horn and Hard Art, which I guess was the inspiration for Starbucks. They have one of the execs from Starbucks talking in this doc, where generations of Americans ate and drank coffee together at communal tables. It was those restaurants you see in movies that had the little windows. You'd put change in and get a sandwich out. You'd get a piece of pie out. And I guess they went away some time ago, but I'm so used to seeing them in movies that I always kind of wanted to go to one. They were very big in Philadelphia and New York to begin with. But so you get the sort of history of the restaurant, its very beginnings on up, and we see how the story of how it got built up through all kinds of archival photographs and through people that went there. They talked to Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Mel Brooks is a big part of this documentary. Colin Powell, Carl Reiner, Elliot Gould, Wilson Good, and it's just a really, really cool doc. It's only about 80 minutes long, and this disc I really dig. I didn't get a chance to dig into it yet, but has an audio introduction by Mel Brooks, has audio commentary by Lisa Hurwitz, which I'm excited to check out, extended Mel Brooks interview, which is 54 minutes just by itself, and Horn and Hard Art archival footage. But I really dug this doc a lot. This is a high recommend for me. I think this might be available digitally already, so you can rent it digitally if you don't pick up the DVD. But the DVD has the extras, and I was just really excited when I heard about what it was, because I've always loved automats from when I was a kid watching them in movies. And again, I just kind of wished I could go to one. So it was neat to sort of revisit the phenomenon and see where it came from, and where the ideas came from and everything. It's fascinating. I absolutely loved it. Delightful documentary. High recommendation, The Automat. So that will do it for this round of Kino titles. I will be back with more soon enough. Thank you for your time. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.